Hello people of YouTube, my name is Jasmine and welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. This is my first video and I wanted to take the time to introduce myself, talk about my background, and what recent events prompted me to create this channel. Also, sorry if there's a lot of noise in the background. I have the camera set up outside, so if you hear nature, birds, and the highway, that's what those sounds are. So first I want to start with some facts about me. I'm 19 and I'm a sophomore in college at UCSB. I absolutely love college and I am a pre-med. On the pre-med track, there is no really pre-med major, but I'm switching to biopsychology major. I also love to play piano and flute. I really like playing music. It's definitely one of my passions. I love to dance. My friends know I will dance to just about anything. I like to read, although I haven't been doing as much reading as I used to because I already have to do so much for college. And I have learned to really enjoy taking care of myself. Okay, so now I'm going to get into my background. Kid growing up, I was always pretty active. I was healthy. I'd get a stomachache here or there. I never had any major health issues. In middle school, puberty came and hit me like a truck. I grew a lot and honestly haven't grown that much since. Towards the end of puberty, I started to notice that my stomach really hurt. My abdomen would get really bloated after I ate anything, and it was just really uncomfortable and would be that way for the whole day, even when I woke up in the morning and hadn't eaten anything. So I started to notice this feeling of just intestinal discomfort, but it's something I sort of got used to. These symptoms continued into high school and throughout my whole high school career. I would usually have extreme constipation with intermittent episodes of intestinal cramping and diarrhea, and I would sometimes just have to run to the bathroom. I had pretty bad acid reflux where I would throw up my food sometimes. And these symptoms just continued to get worse. The worst for me was just the feeling of constant pain. And intestinal pain is sort of a different type of pain, I would say. It was just always on my mind. When I was in class, it was hard for me to focus because I was always thinking, where is the nearest bathroom? Can I get to it fast enough? This just consumed my life. I was still able to successfully finish high school and do pretty well, still have my extracurriculars, but it was really, really challenging to get through the day with this pain that just wasn't going away. I had a lot of trouble sleeping, was constantly tired, just felt drained, and couldn't concentrate because of the pain. In sophomore year, or the end of sophomore year, my gastroenterologist determined that I just had a really strong gluten intolerance. So immediately I cut that out of my diet, and it was determined that I had IBS-C, so IBS with constipation, and I started to eliminate certain foods from my diet. This was pretty hard, having such a restrictive diet, but I didn't really have an option. All these symptoms then carried on into college. I was having a great time, honestly. I loved college. My health was getting in the way a little bit. My symptoms kept getting worse and worse. It was becoming increasingly hard to eat because I would either throw the food up or it would just be so painful after I ate. I started seeing different doctors in Santa Barbara to figure out what was going on. The main diagnosis was just IBS. It was sort of the big question mark because IBS is this term that covers a lot of gastrointestinal symptoms, There's not just simply 1 or 2 medications you can take for IBS because the symptoms are different for everyone. It was really hard not having an answer, feeling something so extreme, but being told that the most you can do is just change your diet. This whole time, I really thought it was just me. Maybe it's in my head. Am I some sort of pathological liar? I just felt that because there was no structural problem, that it was on me. It was my fault that I was feeling this way. It just became too hard, way too hard. I had to start dropping classes because there was no way I could physically go to class. This is really hard for me to talk about, but one time I ate and I was feeling okay for the moment, and I thought I'd take a nap. When I woke up, I was choking on my own vomit. No one was home at the apartment. Everyone was at class. I had no idea where my phone was. I just knew I needed to act fast. So I dragged myself to the bathroom, my consciousness fading because I'm losing air. I can't breathe. And luckily I was able to Heimlich myself against the toilet and get everything out so I wasn't choking anymore. But that was the closest experience I've ever had to death. And that extreme feeling of hopelessness and fear really stuck with me. I started to have nightmares where I was dying, where that memory just played over and over. And it was the first time I realized that this health condition was serious. I never thought that IBS would have been an actual threat to my life, but it had become that extreme. My parents were amazing support throughout this, same with my boyfriend. And my mom, she came to Santa Barbara. One of the times she stood in my doctor's office until he talked to her. And so the doctor said, okay, we'll do an intestinal CT scan with contrast. And so I went to the ER and had that done. I expected this to be a routine thing. So what I had was intestinal malalignment and malrotation. This was something I was actually born with, a structural defect. My small intestine was in sort of a pretzel formation and shoved up towards my upper left side of my abdomen. My large intestine was only on the left side and was connected by connective tissue. And my appendix, which they later found was inflamed, on the left side. So everything was on the left, and it was a huge shock. How could this not have been seen before? I had so many tests done. I was just shocked, absolutely shocked, but so overjoyed that I had my answer. You know, I had been struggling with this for so long and thinking it's something that I had to fix when I really didn't have any control over it because it was just structurally wrong. I was really excited. I don't think I've ever been so excited for a surgery. The surgery went well, and I was told that I would recover in about a week. After an intestinal surgery, there's a chance that your intestines can be paralyzed because they don't like to be moved. Sometimes they don't function right away. I knew this, and so even though I was told I could eat whatever food I wanted to, I started on a soft diet and slowly worked my way up to more solid food. Even though I did this, I was in so much pain. The most pain I'd ever been in, because on top of the pain of just the constipation, I had just had surgery. It was so hard to bear. I was told to go through courses of laxatives, and it made the pain so much worse because it was so violent, and I was still constipated. I just felt that I was misunderstood at that point. My surgeon, who was amazing, gave me great advice, and I actually found another gastroenterologist because this office didn't understand that I didn't want more pain medication. That was actually the problem, is that the pain medication I'd been taking made me more constipated. That was the problem. So I came home, saw an amazing specialist in my area, and he prescribed me something for IBS with constipation. It is a medication that increases the secretion of fluids into your intestines, sort of like lubricating the tract, and this helped so much. It was exactly what I needed. Slowly but surely, my physical condition started to improve, and at this point, I am completely back to normal. I had my surgery in October, a couple days before my birthday. I fully recovered physically around January. I didn't know how much stress my body was in because of that constant pain. What I also didn't realize is that after I recovered physically, I was finally able to address and see the mental toll it took on me. I knew that, starting in high school, that I was depressed, that I had anxiety, and I had had suicidal thoughts, but it was tied to my physical condition, and there wasn't anything I could do to improve my physical condition. But once that part was gone, the mental, the emotional took over. That I was starting to attempt to process what I went through. And I realized I could not do that alone. I needed to go to therapy. I needed to see a psychiatrist because it was taking over my life. I felt like this surgery had given me a chance to restart my life. I could finally be normal, but I didn't feel normal. I was so anxious. The anxiety took over to where I couldn't go to class because I couldn't stand being in a lecture hall. I was still in that mindset of, if my stomach acts up, I'm gonna have to climb over all these people. I also had a lot of suicidal thoughts that, it was hard to admit to my parents, to my boyfriend, to my therapist, but I was having them because I felt that this pain would never end. My physical pain was coming to an end, but the emotional was still there and very real. I started having panic attacks, extreme panic attacks that would last for over an hour. And that took a huge toll on my body, mentally and physically. I couldn't sleep. That was the worst part. It's actually why I went to see a psychiatrist, because I knew I needed something to help me sleep. Because being deprived of sleep, you aren't able to deal with things as well, and makes you even more sad and anxious. And I was just having nightmares, night after night, constant replay of all the pain I had been through. One thing that started to happen is that I would have dissociative episodes. Now, this is not to be confused with dissociative identity disorder, because I don't have multiple consciousness or personalities. It was a response to the repetitive trauma I had been through. I didn't know that at the time, though. The first time I had an episode, I was feeling completely normal. It was a pretty good day, and something triggered this mood change where suddenly I felt completely different. I was extremely upset and sad. I had no idea what was going on, and all of a sudden I felt like I was outside of my body, that I was watching myself do things, but I wasn't in control of my body at all. It felt like I was watching myself. And I started having suicidal thoughts of harming myself, and my body was going through these motions and I couldn't stop it. It was the most hopeless I've ever felt, like pouring all my medication out into my hand, ready to take it all, and overdose. And I was, screaming to myself in my head, like, stop, you don't want to do this. But I was just not in control of my body. Luckily, I was able to control it eventually. I didn't harm myself, but it was hard. And I don't think I'd realized how powerful brain chemistry is until that moment. I dealt with the panic attacks and dissociative episodes for a while. I was started on a couple different medications for panic disorder. I was diagnosed with panic disorder, depression, and PTSD. Therapy really helped me. It helped me manage these symptoms to the point where now I haven't had them in over a month. And it's made everything so much easier. Even though I still deal with anxiety and depression occasionally, and definitely PTSD, I am able to manage it and lead more of a normal life. And this is such an important thing that I did, that I got help and sought help immediately. It's hard to know exactly what you're feeling and going through, and it's hard to open up to someone else. It was absolutely necessary for me. And I really learned what I had been neglecting my whole life, which was my emotional state, my mental state. I wasn't taking care of myself in that aspect because I felt that I couldn't, because it was so closely tied to everything that was going on physically. I've had such a process of growth in the past, honestly, couple months, that I really wanted to start this YouTube channel. Starting in middle school, throughout high school, up to college, through all that time, I had been watching YouTube videos. And I found so much comfort in watching videos of people that were talking about similar topics, that they also experienced the anxiety, the depression, that some of these YouTubers talked about, their uncomfortable bloating or IBS, and it made me feel so much less alone, because I wanted to talk to my parents about it, and I wanted to talk to my friends about it, but I felt that they couldn't truly understand because maybe they had not gone through it themselves. I found so much comfort, and I felt like I wasn't alone anymore. There are so many YouTubers that, without knowing, helped me through those times, and I want to give back to that positive community. I want to create a community on my channel to where people can talk about their days in the comment section and talk with me, talk with other people about how they're doing, and get that support through YouTube and online. So I know how important it is to not feel alone. It's so much easier to not feel isolated and hopeless if someone else is going through the same thing. I know these are very scary times right now with this whole pandemic, and I think everyone, whether or not they're diagnosed with anxiety, depression, any of that stuff or not, everyone's feeling it and being hit hard. And so I thought this is the perfect time for me to start this channel, so I can be there for you guys watching this video. If you're going through something, tell me in the comments section. I am here to support you and talk to you. I know sometimes it's really hard to talk to people in your life that you're close to about these things. So maybe it's easier for you to talk to someone that you don't really know online. I don't know, for me it is. But I just want to let you know, whoever is watching this, that I hope you're doing okay. I hope you and your loved ones are doing okay. I hope you're taking care of yourself, staying safe, washing your hands, and whatever you are going through, we'll go through it together. So on that note, I wanted to end my video. Thank you for watching. If you want to see wellness-related content, if you want to become part of this new community I'm trying to create, then subscribe. I'm starting a series, Road to Recovery, to show how I am growing from my experience, how I'm recovering, as it's a constant process. Sort of take you along through my day and show what I'm doing. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!